All right, lots of music because I haven't. And did you notice I've been having technical difficulties. Technical trouble has plagued me this eve. It's been several days. It's like I've forgotten how to use this software in just a few days. This is episode, I think 56. Let's just be sure of that. Yes, for May the 4th, 2020. Just gonna mute the desktop there. All right, that was Epsilon, the original Epsilon mix by Kygo. That's one of the few Kygo mixes that doesn't involve collaboration with a vocalist, but I love it. It's a great dance tune. And just thinking how long will it be until I might be able to go back to a music festival and dance properly like that, or even go to a club. Not that I go to clubs, or even go to a nice restaurant and have a dance floor open up. It just doesn't seem that likely, does it? Commentary for today is: we must be willing to forsake privacy, some level of privacy, in order to effectively track and trace. It's proven that if we allow cell phone tracking just anonymously enough with a correct and appropriate privacy restrictions and accommodating what needs to be done, we will effectively be able to track and trace. We'll be able to know when somebody who was then somebody who went on to be diagnosed with COVID was near us, so we can immediately get tested and quarantine. This is how it worked in South Korea. This was very effective. The concern in North America is it's a privacy issue. We have to get over this. It is so important. If we do effective technology-enabled track and trace, the amount of increased activity and safe increased activity that we can support is tremendous. I really hope we get over this. My concern is that we don't, and that not only does track and trace not have legs in the states that are reopening, but they don't have enough tests. That's just a disaster. That's like a freight train running straight into a wall. What's happening in those states that are reopening right now? It is not under control. Canada's being more cautious than this. Most countries are being more cautious than the states, and the states is by far, although Russia's hot on their heels, the most active COVID outbreak zone still globally. Word of the day: fecundity, which means like fertility, but it can also mean like to have an active mind of new ideas. And that's the sense in which I was thinking of it when I first picked this word out. Let's take a quick peek at the definition of pronunciation. Fecundity. And I'll say the meaning I meant was the ability to produce many new ideas, such as the immense fecundity of his imagination made a profound impact on European literature. And this is a solid performer over time. Like we are very committed to this word in the English language. All right, so there they are for the word of the day. Back to the agenda. Quotes of the day: nearly half of Americans report the coronavirus crisis is harming their mental health. A federal emergency hotline for people in emotional distress registered more than a 1,000% increase, or a 10x increase in April compared with the same time last year. That is just an enormous uptick in mental health issues. 20,000 people texted that hotline last month. This is in an article that William Wan has written in the Washington Post as an expose of just how bad the mental health situation is for so many people. I don't know what the stats say yet, but I have to predict suicides are up by a factor of 3-4x. I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't even be remotely surprised if the hard numbers on suicide exceed the coronavirus deaths in some regions. It would not surprise me, particularly in the States. Not in the States. That's just not realistic, but let's say it's a meaningful percentage. And if you could measure the other health impacts in effective lives lost, my suspicion is it would be, again, there's some math that'll come out on this. My suspicion is it would approach, if not exceed, the direct coronavirus death rate. In world news, the world rallies to raise funds for vaccine. Today there was basically a big ass Zoom call among all of the world leaders, and I think they rallied together several $billion for a vaccine. Guess who wasn't there? Trump. What a shock after cutting funding to the WHO last month. He didn't show up. Every other world leader in the West, certainly every Western world leader, shows up, commits big dollars. I think, if I recall, it's 11, 12 billion they got today. And these funds will go towards finding a vaccine. What is Trump's plan, to get their own vaccine and then not share it? That's probably his plan. Canadian originated rapid testing snafu triggers recall of tests. Okay, the reason I have this in here is because I think that we're going to see a lot of false starts on the serology tests, which are the antibody tests, and I also think we'll see false starts on rapid tests. It's unfortunate. There's such a huge incentive, but there's some difficult science to solve for here. The original swabbing technique does still take a couple of days. There's obvious incentive to do rapid testing, but it's just not that easy. And I think we should just be ready. I think we should be ready for the virus to be, rather the vaccine to be a difficult thing to put together. Antivirals, remdesivir aside, and I still don't believe that that's a strong story. It's just it's tough to solve for these problems in quick timeframes. Apple and Google, to my point earlier, they banned third-party location tracking tools for COVID in favor of their own, to be fair. And I do think that's the right approach, to go to a hardware level. To two of the largest companies of the four largest companies in the world, we need to basically trust them like at a governmental level on this, that they will get it right. So that's important. I don't have a particular issue with them shutting down the third-party tools. There could be some manipulation and malfeasance there. Fourth point, the mask debate rages on. There are experts still saying don't wear a mask because it'll encourage the stripping of mask resources from frontline workers, etc. I don't know. I think the debate rages on. I think people are wearing masks if they feel it protects their health and safety. In high COVID density areas, you are seeing masks worn, and I think you'll continue to see them worn. And I think the net benefits are probably in excess of the negatives. This is a picture of Emily and I in Whistler 2-3 summers ago for one of her swim meets, which was hosted by the Whistler Wolves swim team. I look a lot fatter, don't I? Because I was a little bit younger. Let's ignore that part. I have completely lost the ability to speak. COVID positive life changer of the day is getting crushed by my daughter, who pushed over 4 watts per kilogram. Look it up. That puts her in low A, like semi-pro, half a watt per kilogram away from a pro rider, like the low end of a pro rider, like domestic rider in the States, at 14. This is riding a mountain bike attached to a decent trainer, but I was blown away. I thought I was going out I didn't even turn my fan on or put my heart rate monitor on. And 5 minutes into it, I was like, why are you killing yourself? He's like, I'm not killing myself. Why are you killing yourself? I'm like, holy shit, you're a prodigy. She went up the Zwift London Hill in like 9 minutes flat, which is better than my personal best. And I almost set a personal best, but I couldn't keep up with her. It's insane. It's insane. What's going to happen to this? She's like got legs of thunder. It's just nuts. All right. With that, I will sign off. There's other life changer stuff I'll share in forthcoming episodes. It has been a minute. I appreciate you guys listening to these, and I will talk to each of you soon.